task force formed by the ruling Nepal Communist Party aimed at studying the MCC agreement has finally come up with a report. The task force has recommended not to endorse the MCC agreement in its present form. More importantly, as sources claim, the Prime Minister has also been convinced by the task force team not to adopt the deal intact. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the headlines of the hour. NCP task force recommends not to endorse the MCC agreement without making amendments. The report to be approved by the party secretariat before it is made public. Central government indulge itself in operating local development programs instead of focusing on large-scale projects, affects the centre's capability on moving ahead national development. A 7-day clampdown on violence between the US and the Afghan Taliban begins, can lead to a deal aimed at ending nearly 2 decades of conflict. And Australia hammers South Africa in the first T20 international to take a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. Host South Africa bundled out for 89 runs. Let us begin with the national political updates. A task force formed by the ruling Nepal Communist Party to study various aspects of the Millennium Challenge Corporation MCC has said that the multi-billion-dollar agreement should not be endorsed in its present term and condition. The task force had given finishing touches to the report earlier yesterday prior to submitting it to the joint chairman of the ruling party, KP Sharma Oli and Pushpa Kamal Dahal. As controversy flared up within the ruling party regarding the endorsement of the MCC agreement from the parliament, the ruling party had formed a 3-member task force last month, led by senior leader Chalnath Khanal, to submit a report on the disputed US-funded agreement. A member of the task force, Bhim Raul, said that the report was made, including suggestions after extensive study on the agreement and Indo-Pacific strategy.
यस सम्बन्धमा के निर्णय गर्नुपर्छ, कस्तो गर्नुपर्छ, कसरी अगाडि बढ्नुपर्छ भन्ने कुरा पार्टी नेतृत्वसँग छलफल गरेपछि हामीलाई जानकारी होला र त्यसपछि पार्टीको सम्बन्धित निकायबाट सम्बन्धित तहबाट यसमा छलफल गरेपछि आवश्यक निर्णय गर्ने भन्ने कुरा केन्द्रीय कमिटीको बैठकले नै मार्गनिर्देशन गरेको छ, तदनुरूप नै कुरा होला.
No official detail has been revealed about the content of the report yet. Meanwhile, according to the sources, the report has recommended of unanimously amending the different terms and conditions of the agreement. It has been learned that a member of the task force and Minister for Foreign Affairs Pradeep Gewali was initially adamant on endorsing the agreement intact, but was later convinced by other members during extensive study of the agreement. The task team member Chalnath Khanal had briefed the 57-page report to joint chair of the party, Oli and Dahal. Following the briefing, Premier Oli agreed on amending the agreement, as he reportedly said that the agreement was no Bible. The report will first be endorsed by the party secretariat before its content is made public. The report has presented MCC as a part of America's Indo-Pacific strategy. And moving on, Executive Chairman of the ruling Nepal Communist Party, Pushpa Kamal Dahal, has said that the trend of communist leaders being indulged in corruption after attaining power has become commonplace in Nepal as well. Speaking at a program held in Bhaktapur's Timi yesterday afternoon, Executive Chairman Dahal said that the communist leaders have recently been found indulged in fulfilling their greed and vested interests. He added that such a tendency would not augur well for the leaders' political career. Chairman Dahal said the very leaders who earlier had struggled and sacrificed for change often have been found to have shied away from their principles after attaining public positions, which he said has been the history of the world communist movement. Dahal said that the trend of not living up with the ethics is in itself sufficient to abolish the communist activists without the use of any force or weapons. Executive Chairman of the ruling party, Dahal, made the remark a day after the government spokesperson, Gokul Baskota, resigned from his position following his alleged seeking of commission on the procurement of security printing machines. Dahal said that moving ahead by rectifying all kinds of weaknesses and faults within the ruling party would only be a real tribute to the founders of the Communist Party in the country. And with that, it's time now for a short break. For more news, stay with us. Welcome back. The Gautam Buddha International Airport in Rupandehi's Bhairahawa was supposed to begin operations by the end of coming March, targeting the Visit Nepal year 2020. However, on the face of sluggish construction works, the government has extended its deadline for the 5th time. The Gautam Buddha or the Bhairahawa International Airport began constructions 5 years back with a completion deadline of December 2017. However, the government has extended the project deadline a number of times. The last extension ends next month. However, the project has yet to complete finishing the fire station and installing lights on the runway, among others. The project has requested for a 5th extension, citing that necessary equipment have not arrived from China as a result of the coronavirus outbreak. Meanwhile, the project officer Pravesh Adhikari has said the team was giving its best to complete the project at the earliest. Meanwhile, the Chinese contractor company Northwest Civil Aviation has said their workers who had returned home to celebrate the Chinese New Year have not resumed works due to coronavirus. Some 50% of the lights installation works is still pending. The government had allocated 3.33 billion rupees for the project in the ongoing fiscal year, out of which only 14% has been used by the project in the first 6 months of the fiscal year. The project has urged the government to extend the deadline by 3 more months. However, there are speculations whether the deadline will be enough. The initial budget for the Gautam Buddha or Bhairahawa International Airport 5 years back was 6.10 billion rupees, which after multiple extensions and delays has increased to 30.41 billion rupees. Now, instead of prioritizing large-scale development projects with strategic importance, the federal government has still remained confined to trivial and fragmented projects at the provincial level. The failure in handing over projects to the provincial governments as per the constitutional provision has even raised questions on the effective implementation of federalism. As many as 15 development programs that are currently being handled by the Ministry of Physical Infrastructure falls under the jurisdiction of the provincial governments as per the constitutional provision. For instance, the projects like Sagarmatha Highway, Gaighat Diktel section, Kanti Rajpath and Kathmandu Valley Road expansion project, among others, fall under the jurisdiction of the provincial governments. They are, however, being operated by the central government itself. The continued involvement of the central ministries in provincial and local level development projects has barred the provincial governments from looking after the projects under their jurisdiction. On the other hand, it has encouraged the provincial governments to introduce development projects of similar nature by formulating acts on their own. If the central government does not hand over the local level projects to the provincial governments by allocating them necessary budgets, the constitutional provision ensuring respective jurisdiction to the provincial governments would not have any significance. This would also decline the central government's capability on effective implementation of large-scale projects. Time now for the international update. A 7-day reduction in violence between the U.S. and the Afghan Taliban has begun. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said that it was an important step on a long road to peace. If successful, the two sides will then sign the first phase of a deal aimed at ending nearly 2 decades of conflict. The agreement, which began at midnight local time, comes after more than a year of talks between American and Afghan Taliban representatives. In a statement, Taliban negotiators said a suitable security situation would be created ahead of signing a deal they hoped would lay the groundwork for peace across the country with the withdrawal of all foreign forces. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg welcomed the move, adding that this was a critical test of the Taliban's willingness and ability to reduce violence and contribute to peace in good faith. The Afghan government, which is currently grappling with a dispute over the results of the country's presidential elections, was not part of the negotiations. And with that, we have more news coming up, but right now it's time for yet another short break. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked the trainee football referees of Province 1, as they had gathered in Tharan, Sunsari, what should be done to produce skilled football referees. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public Voice.
प्रशिक्षण लिनेहरूले नै अब मेहनत गर्नुपर्छ प्रशिक्षकले प्रशिक्षण दिएर मात्रै हुने कुरा नि होइन आफूले पनि मेहनत गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ रेफ्रीले पनि त्यसको गल्ती गर्दियो भने
त्यसलाई चाहिँ सङ्घले चाहिँ कारबाही गर्ने पनि हुनु पर्यो।
प्रदेशमा भयो हैन, जिल्लामा पनि यस्तै ट्रेन प्रशिक्षण राख्नुपर्छ।
Time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
The question is, what could be the reason for extending the deadline for the construction of Bhairawa International Airport for the 5th time? Your options are A. Managerial lapses, B. Technical complexities, and C. Same old story. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the sports update.
Sports news.
Australia registered a thumping 107-run victory over host South Africa in the first of the 3-match T20 International Series yesterday. Sent into bat first in Johannesburg, the visitors amassed 106 runs for the loss of 6 wickets. Despite the early departure of David Warner, Steve Smith with 45 and Aaron Finch with 42 runs built the foundation for a commanding total. Chasing 197 runs for victory, South Africa were bowled out for 89 runs in 13.3 overs to suffer a humiliating loss. Faf du Plessis was the top scorer with 24 runs amid a disastrous batting display. Austin Auger picked up a 5-wicket haul, including a hat-trick, while Pat Cummins and Adam Zampa shared 2 wickets each. And it's time now for our special segment, Media Watch.
Minister for Communication and Information Technology and Government spokesperson Gokul Baskota resigned from his post on Thursday following controversy regarding his alleged negotiation for bribe on the proposed purchasing of security printing machines. On the same day, the Parliament's Public Accounts Committee also directed the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology not to move ahead with the process to procure the security printing machines. The committee issued the directive after an audio recording of the conversation between Baskota and agents of a Swiss company was unveiled, where Baskota was heard bargaining for his commission for the purchase of the security printing machines. The Kathmandu District Court on Monday acquitted former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Krishna Bahadur Mara, of attempted rape charge. The rape case was filed at the District Court on 29th of October last year by victim Roshni Sai, a female staff at the Parliament Secretariat. Mahara was arrested on 6th of October from his official residence and had spent the last 4 months in jail before being acquitted. Former Speaker Mahara was given a clean chit by the Kathmandu District Court on Monday, citing lack of evidence to support the charge against him. However, government attorneys are preparing to appeal at the High Court, citing lack of proper evaluation of the case. The government of Nepal brought home 175 Nepalese nationals who were repatriated from China's Hubei province, the epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. The Nepalese nationals arrived home early Sunday morning on an aircraft of Nepal Airlines Corporation. All the individuals have been kept in quarantine in Karipati, Bhaktapur since their arrival. After conducting medical tests of all the 175 individuals, the National Public Health Laboratory informed that they all tested negative for the coronavirus. The Health Ministry has said all the 175 Nepalese nationals brought from China will be tested again after 14 days of the quarantine period. This is Abhyuday Shrestha for Media Watch and Kantipur News Desk.
Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. NCP Task Force recommends not to endorse the MCC agreement without making amendments. The report to be approved by the party secretariat before it is made public. Central government indulged itself in operating local development programs instead of focusing on large-scale projects. Affects the centre's capability on moving ahead national development. A 7-day clampdown on violence between the US and Afghan Taliban begins, can lead to a deal aimed at ending nearly 2 decades of conflict. And Australia hammers South Africa in the first T20 International to take a 1-0 lead in the 3-match series. Host South Africa bundled out for 89 runs. And that's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Have a great day ahead.